In 11-3, we're going to move away from multiplying polynomials and talk about how to divide polynomials. We're going to jump straight into it. Now, what I'm going to do is on the first page, I'm going to teach you how to divide by a monomial. This is easier than the rest. Now, what I'm going to show you on the following pages, you could do on problem 1, but when you're dividing by a monomial instead of like a binomial or a trinomial, problem 1 is going to be much easier if you handle it the way that I teach you. So here's your polynomial, 9x cubed minus 6x squared plus 15x divided by 3x squared. Here's how you're going to handle this. You're just going to put each item over 3x squared, and then you're going to reduce. Okay, so there they are. They're over 3x squared. You're dividing each one. And we're just going to reduce. 9 divided by 3 is 3 with an x left over. Minus 6 divided by 3 is 2. No x is left over. And then 15 divided by 3 is 5. But this time the x left over is on the bottom. It's really that easy to divide by a monomial. Let's go to the got it. Pick any of them. Let me see which one would be nice to do. Maybe part B. We'll just do B. Okay, you do 5b to the 4th minus 15b squared plus 1, and each of those you divide by 5b cubed. Let's write what we are going to have left. 5 divided by 5 is a 1, and there's only a b left in the numerator. 15 divided by 3, this is a negative 3. This one has a b on the bottom. This one doesn't cancel at all. No b's. All 3 are left on the bottom. That's it. That's as far as you need to go when dividing by a monomial. Moving on. You're going to use this thing called long division. Now, what I have noticed is some people need a quick review on long division, so I'm going to go to my sticky note. I just want to make sure that you remember long division. Pretend somebody gave you 487 divided by 3. Okay? You remember long division when you set it up like this and you put the 3 on the outside? If you don't, you're not the only one. You ask yourself, how many times does 3 go into 4? 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down the 87. Then you say 3 goes into 18 6 times, and then 6 times 3 is 18, and then you do your subtraction, and you get 0, and you bring down the 7. And then you say, how many times does 3 go into 7? 3 goes into 7 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1, and you have a remainder of 1. Remember how to do that? Good, because you need to be able to do that for what we're going to talk about here. So, we're going to take our trinomial and put it inside our division bar. And we're going to take the outside and put it there. After you put the what you want to divide by, after you put that on the outside, here's what you need to focus on, okay? We're going to handle this first one real slowly, and I think it's actually going to get a lot better for you as we move along. How many times, now see this 3 right here that I'm covering up? It's almost not important. I'll show you why that's important in a little bit. But here's my question. How many times does d go into 3d squared? Or in other words, what would you need to multiply by? You would need to multiply by a 3 and a d. Because 3d times d is 3d squared. And that's what you want to do. You want to get it to match like that. Now what you do is you go backwards. Okay, so you'll do 3d times d and get 3d squared plus 3d times 3. It's like distributing. And that's plus 9d. Now here is where students forget a very important step. What did I do with 3 when I did 4 and 3 here? I did 4 minus 3, right? Well, that's exactly what you do. You need to minus these items that you got on the inside. Because That will make these two cancel. And then I do 4 minus 9, I get negative 13d. Don't forget to bring down the plus 13. Now ask yourself, look at where I'm pointing, d and negative 13d. What do you need to multiply d by to get to negative 13d? You need to multiply by negative 13, right? Now go backwards and distribute. Negative 13 times d is negative 13d. Negative 13 times 3 is negative 39. Make sure that you change your signs because you're subtracting. 13 and 39 makes 52. We're done with the dividing. Now we just need to write our final answer. This is our remainder. You ready? Final answer is 3d minus 13 with a remainder, and we show that by doing this. Adding 52 by what we divided by, d plus 3. So that's our answer. This is our remainder over what we divided by. All right, let's try this and got it too. Put the m plus 1 on the outside. 2m squared minus m minus 3 on the inside. Guess I didn't need to make that long. Go backwards and ask yourself, m, and this is what you focus on right here, this first one. M times what is 2m squared? What about a 2m? Now go backwards and distribute. 2m times m is 2m squared. 2m times 1 is another 2m. Do not forget in long division, this is where we change our signs. These cancel out, and I'm left with a negative 3m minus 3. Now you need to ask yourself, m times what is negative 3m? A minus 3. So I backwards distribute. Okay? And I get negative 3m minus 3. Because it was a negative 3 times m and a negative 3 times 1. This is where you change your signs. And look, you have no remainder at all. So my final answer is 2m minus 3 with no remainder. Okay, let's move on. What to do if something is missing? The width of a rectangle, 3z minus 1. The area of a rectangle is 18z cubed minus 8z plus 2. What is an expression for the length of a rectangle? You should notice in the area, okay, you should notice in the area that z squared is missing. So we're going to write it almost exactly the same. You guys know, right, that area equals length times width. So if area equals length times width, all we need to do is we need to take the area and we need to divide by the width to get the length. So we're going to divide. So we put our area inside. Now watch what I'm going to do here. 18z cubed plus, and this becomes very important, 0 z squared, because there was no z squared, minus 8z plus 2. On the outside, I am dividing by 3z minus 1. Now go backwards and ask yourself the questions that we've been asking yourselves. 3z times what? Okay, you're focusing on the first. 3z times what is 18z cubed? Well, I would need a 6 and I would need a z squared. So 3 times 6 is 18. Oops, I meant z squared there. Z squared and z make z cubed. Okay, so we're distributing backwards, remember? Minus 6z. squared. So look how now I actually have a spot for my squareds when I go backwards. Change your signs here. These cancel, and you're left with 6z squared minus 8z plus 2. Move on. 3z, how does it become 6z squared? Well, it needs to be multiplied by a positive 2z for that to happen. When you backwards distribute, you will get 6z squared. Okay, remember you're backwards distributing. You'll get 6z squared minus 2z. Alright, we'll change your signs. Never forget to change your signs here. Cancel, and that's negative 6z. Bring down the plus 2. You only have to do one more step on this one. How do you get 3z to become a negative 6z? How do you get 3z to become a negative 6z? You have to multiply by a negative 2. So again, you backwards distribute. And negative 2 times 3z is negative 6z. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. Do not forget to change your signs since you subtract this step. Look at your remainder of 0. So when it asks what is an expression for the length, we can write the length equals 6z squared plus 2z minus 2. Because that's what we got with no remainder.